Soundstripe.
I'm Shelley Cox, founder of the Regional Collective, where we're all about empowering entrepreneurs like you. Our podcast is for anyone navigating the world of small business, especially in regional areas. I'm based in the Barossa in South Australia, a place where I love, have 3 young children, and also play community club netball. My previous career as a winemaker has taken me all over the world, to New Zealand, Japan, the USA, and all around Australia, but there's no place like home. I've started not 1, but 4 businesses from the ground up since 2018 and have helped over 50 other small and micro businesses, and I can't wait to help share my lessons with you. Over the coming weeks and months, you'll hear tales of success, challenges, and community spirit in small and micro businesses. Let's redefine small business with big hearts and determined hustle, and be inspired to thrive.
Get ready for some serious inspiration on our next episode of the Regional Collective podcast. Today we're diving into the founders' stories with Narelle Lane, the creative, hard-working founder behind Barossa Body. We're excited to have Narelle join us to share her incredible journey and insight. She has not only spent over a decade perfecting her beauty and body products, but has steadily and sustainably grown her brand, all the while working a full-time role. So stay tuned for your dose of motivation from Narelle and her startup journey. So today we've got of starting your brand, where you've been, the things that you've learnt. So do you want to just let us know how you've sort of got started in your business?
Yeah, sure. Well, I had a bit of a staggered start. So I started making skincare products quite a long time ago, and it took quite a while for me to get the courage, I suppose, to formally start.
So how long?
So I would say probably around 10 years.
Yep.
So a bit of a slow learner, slow start, slow burn.
Slow burn. Yeah.
But once I plucked up the courage to actually start a business, it probably took me a good 2 years to get to where I am now.
Yeah.
And there's been quite a staggered approach to that.
Yeah, yeah. And so when did you first launch Barossa Body?
So I launched Barossa Body back in 2021.
Yep.
And I started with my base, I guess, body product line. Yep. And I started with Makers and Merchants, which was amazing, in store. And that was a really key part for me, or key part of launching my business.
Yeah. And did you also so you sold online with your website as well, and did you do markets as well?
Yes.
Or how did you reach new customers as a brand new brand?
Yes, so I was in store at Makers and Merchants. I was also online, which took a long time to actually get going. You need a following before you can have online sales. Yep. And then I was at markets, but markets were quite challenging. Yeah. But very important to have that face to face.
And then, so you said sort of like 2 years to get to where you are now. What changed 2 years ago? How did you sort of pivot in your business?
Yes, so I've pivoted probably 2 pivotal moments within my business. So when I first launched back in 2021, I had a vision of what it would look like, and it was mainly going to be markets at that point in time. Yeah. But after probably around 18 months, I realised that actually wasn't the direction I wanted to be, and I wanted to be more in store, in more of those boutiques. Yep. And so I went through a pivotal moment of rebranding, and that went from being a bit of a cute type label to a more serious but organic style label and brand. Yep. And then another pivotal moment was when I launched my facial skincare range. Yes. And I actually held a launch and reignited, I guess, the interest in the business. Yeah.
And so this is not your only job. What else? Do you work full-time, part-time? What else have you been doing in the last couple of years while you've been building your brand?
Yes, it's very challenging, and people often say to me, how do you do it? Yeah. I work full-time in human resources. Yeah. And I really love that job. So I'm often torn about having that steady income and having that part of my life when I'm very busy. But then my creative passion comes out with my own brand, where I have control of where I'm going and my destiny.
And I guess the hard thing is, how do you manage that with also creating and making the products yourself as well? Because it's not like other consulting or service-based business. You're actually having to physically create. So when do you find time to do that part of your business?
Yeah, so I have to be very organised, and so I do a lot of that after hours, sometimes in the morning before work, and then I definitely work on that on my business on the weekends. And I actually have my niece, she's helps me most Sundays as well, to help me with packaging and labelling and filling the products.
And how have over the last couple of years with that, I suppose, growth and also, new direction for the business, what things have you, I guess, implemented or outsourced to make that happen?
Yeah, I guess one of the biggest challenges for me, or two of the biggest challenges for me, has been the time management. So having to outsource some things has been crucial. And so having someone to come in and help me, and I've even called on my friends to help me sometimes get ready for markets or my launch. So outsourcing, but I need to get better at it, because I am a little bit of a control freak and probably want to try and do too much on my own. And that's an area.
There's only so many hours in the day.
Oh, exactly. So that's where I really need to focus. But also with that comes a cost. And so it's balancing the funds of the flow of small business when it's, you have your peaks and troughs.
So, and how have you done more sort of strategy sessions to map out your year? Like, how do you organise your time and your week and your month? Like, do you set aside time to plan, and so that you're not reacting, so that you can be proactive in your business?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the mornings is when I get up a little bit earlier in the morning, and I sit and plan what the week is going to look like, what my social media, what things, what products am I looking to promote, or there's some key focuses coming up, like Mother's Day, Christmas, Easter, those sorts of focus areas. Change in seasons. So focusing on that. And also it's time for me to loop back to the RDA. I've used them as the B2B program's been quite instrumental, having some guidance and support through them.
And that's the thing, I think, encouraging and letting other small business owners and startups know about those resources. There's quite a lot that are either free or low cost to be able to help you get through any bottlenecks in your business. So what sort of types of services have you used through them?
I've used some financial guidance and support. I've had some business coaching. I've had some social media and website support.
So that covers a lot of things, doesn't it? Like, there's a lot of things within your business that you can get some outside eyes on, which is really good.
I've also recently trademarked my brand as well, and my initiation into that was through the regional development through the RDA, and so I then pursued that specialist to see it through. So,
which is also part of that bigger plan. Like, how do you go today working, having to go to work and do your job, but then also hold that bigger vision? How do you manage that?
I think that's part of me having a creative mind, in that I'm constantly thinking about things. I don't sleep very well. I've got too much on my mind. But I think it's key to have some plans in place, so otherwise you could just be going around in circles. So putting those plans in place in those mornings.
And one of my key reminders that I would tell myself is hold the vision, trust the process. Kind of sometimes it's hard when you look and see what other people are doing, and how do you handle that when we have that, but they're doing that, not comparative syndrome of looking at what else other people are doing and they're doing it so much better, or what we perceive. How do you manage that?
I struggled with that initially, because there are some beautiful brands out there, I mean, you look at how well Alive is doing, and I was wanting to be like them, or I still do, but in different ways. But then you have to realise sometimes slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah.
And
And
so
you're you.
And
You're-
I'm me. Yeah, exactly. And my brand is unique. And so I have to remind myself often
Yep.
to run my own race.
Yep.
Stop looking at what other people are doing. Yes, I can get some good ideas and get some inspiration, absolutely, and add fuel to my fire. But I don't need to replicate what they're doing. They're doing them, and
Yep.
I'll do my thing.
Yeah.
So it's taken me a little while to get to
Yep.
that point, though.
And because you'd looked at moving into some more distribution sort of channels and that I
Yes.
think we'd spoken about before.
Yes.
What was that process like, and how did you not pursue it? Like, what made you sort of choose that wasn't the right path for you?
Yeah, look, I've been working with a distributor, and we've spoken about going into chemists, and he thinks my brand would do exceptionally well in chemists.
Yeah.
However, I had to stop and think, do I want to be a chemist brand? And is that where I see my vision? And initially the excitement of being in the chemist and being able to showcase my brand to everybody was really exciting. But then if I stick true to my brand and my vision, I don't necessarily see myself there, certainly not at the moment. More boutique luxury, even homeware stores or gift stores,
And
more
even
of that.
or spas, you've been,
yes.
a body and, being in that kind of realm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's been really crucial because the customers get to experience the brand and the products through those experiences.
Yep.
And so hopefully they enjoy that experience, and then they have an opportunity to purchase
To buy
products
as well.
from there.
Yeah. And so that's been part of, I think, that collaboration that you need and that you need to seek as an emerging brand and business owner.
Yes.
Is finding those brands that align with you.
Absolutely.
Finding the people that get your product and your vibe, isn't it?
Yes.
So
Yes.
And I think really good that you've seen or recognised that while exciting to be in every chemist warehouse,
Yes.
how many that's also, you've got to sort of remember and I think be true to your values and what your vision is and go, okay, that's exciting but probably not the right path
Yes.
for you.
Yes.
Because you'd probably be pretty miserable. I don't know,
Yeah.
or you would have compromised too much of what you'd set out to do.
Exactly.
If you went down that path. So,
Exactly. And if you think about being in every store around Australia, yes, that's great. But that comes with, then I don't get to make those products by hand anymore. It's no longer a small batch. It's mass produced. I lose a bit of control over the quality.
Yep.
I would be relying heavily. It's not where I see myself at the moment. 10 years time, I may regroup and rethink, and it might be the time then, but it's not the time for me at the moment.
So you've managed to still grow but keep that hands-on approach, and by having, family employed as well, but keeping, a closer eye on things. That's sort of how you've managed to keep control. But I think you've also learnt as well of what things you can't do and that you need to outsource as well, especially if you're working full-time. That's 7 days a week that you're talking about, that you're trying to do.
Exactly. And long days. So some of the next steps for me is outsourcing some of my marketing and my finances, because they're the two areas that I'm not great at, and recognising that I should do I've got to a point where I've kept those things alive, but they can be done a lot better, and by people that enjoy doing that, or that's their specialty, and I'll stick to creating and formulating because that's mine.
And I think, and that's part of that learning as a small business owner. I think you've got to do all the things.
Yes.
And then I don't like that, or I'm not great at it, but I also know how important it is, so I'm going to value that outsource.
Yes.
Isn't it? So
absolutely.
Learning how to do everything, then you can appreciate when people do it well and quickly and they love it. You're like, wow, that was money well spent.
Absolutely. Something that might take me 3 hours might take them 1 hour.
Yeah.
And so, fumbling my way through it at the moment, but that's next steps for
But you
me.
can see that, and that's the thing, you can see the outcome's going to be, or the light at the end of the tunnel, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you've sort of worked through it and at that next stage, so.
Yeah, and that's part of that evolution and growth.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what advice would you give to someone who is starting up? What's a
main priority, I think, to work out before you kind of get launching and growing.
Yeah. I think it's really important to know who you are and what is your why. Why have you started this business? Yeah. And who are you marketing your business to? Knowing that and what is your vision? That will change over time potentially, especially your vision, but you can't market to everybody.
Yeah.
So knowing who you're marketing to, who are your key customers, establishing that, and then working from there.
Yeah.
My other piece of advice is done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've held back because I'm trying to perfect a video to release or a marketing campaign, and sometimes just getting it out there.
Yep.
You know, that's part of that authenticity, isn't it?
Yep. Yep. And that's also, you know, there's not leap before you learn kind of thing, but you kind of also, if you wait until it's perfect, you may have missed an opportunity, or you've missed the timing or whatnot. So you do need to, and I think that's part of the learning, is letting go.
Yes. Yes.
Because we treat it so personally, because it is an extension of ourselves, but you do need to set some boundaries, don't you? How have you managed that? Because I know that I've struggled with that by being so personally involved in businesses.
Yes.
How do you manage that? Because you are a key part of your business, but you're not your business.
Yes. I still think it's something I don't do particularly well, to be honest, because it's me and my brand and my representation, and as you said, an extension of me. I want to try and get that authenticity out, and then sometimes I don't do it well, or I miss the opportunity because I've overthought about it and procrastinated for so long. Yeah. But you know, that's part of growing, and that's part of being in small business and learning. So, and
I think also you reflect on where you've come from, and you've learnt, and you're getting better at it.
Absolutely.
And I think you know, for our part is to be aware of it as well. Like, and I think to be aware that we can't, because we can feel it all consumes our lives.
Yes.
And making sure you've got people around you to sort of just have a little bit of a break sometimes is good, because then you'll go back into it more refreshed. Whereas if we eat, sleep, breathe it, live it for too long, we can lose a bit of perspective and lose some of that creative juices. So setting some boundaries is good. And at least you've got, and your work and full-time work can be a bit of that relief as well, because because you've got to think of other things other than your business while you're there.
Absolutely. And you know, I've got a family, so I have to remember, and that was probably challenging in the beginning, is remembering that I have to invest all of my time. I don't need to invest all of my time in growing my business. I need to also be aware of there's a family that need me as well. So sometimes you just have to shut the laptop, switch your brain off, and spend time with them. And
I think that's an ever evolving lesson, isn't it?
That's life.
Yeah, that's life. But if you had to start over, would you do anything differently?
I would use my networks better. I feel like I can be quite an introvert, and so the networking I sometimes struggled with, and I didn't always attend or show up when I should have, because when I do, I get so much from it, and even just the relationships, and know that you're not in it alone. You've got all these other people that are also building small businesses and learning from them. So my advice would be, you know, show up and attend those meetings, even, or you know, those networking opportunities, even if you're feeling miserable, because sometimes it can actually pull you out of your slump.
And do you think it's perhaps being afraid to, or like, especially when we start up, and being afraid to saying, I'm starting this, or I'm doing this, and I'm creating it, what do you think? Like, are we afraid of what people are going to think about it?
Yeah.
Perhaps to sort of hold you back, do you think?
Potentially, yes. Because your vision, you're not going to please everybody. No, so there might be some people who think, oh, that's not going to work. Or I've actually had someone say to me, why skincare? Because that market is saturated. You probably won't do very well. Yeah. And if I had listened to that person, I wouldn't be where I am today. Yeah. So it's really important to know that sometimes it's okay to get the advice, but do you listen to it? Do you
take it with a grain of salt?
Take it with a grain of salt, and you might get some golden nuggets out of people's advice, but then other times it might not be for you. But definitely, sometimes worrying about what others think can be a game changer. So,
and like you said, hold you back and miss out on opportunities.
Yes.
But if you circle back and you always go, well, look, I know why I'm doing it. I know what my values are. I know what my vision is.
Yes.
That's probably good just to repeat every week, probably, to get you through, because, like you said, you're going to be faced with lots of people who go, I don't understand why you're doing this. Why would you want to?
Yes.
Because, and the answer of because I love it and I really want to isn't comfortable for them. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it.
No, that's exactly right. And it's also been, I've got some friends who haven't even tried my skincare, and they're close friends, and that took me a long time to, and sometimes I still like, darn you, you're my friend, you should try this. But that's okay, because if they don't necessarily want to, they don't have to. But it did take me a while to actually not feel offended. So,
well, that's it, and that's because you've poured your heart and soul into it, and it's so personal for you.
Yes.
And that's the thing. I think there's quite a few quotes around of that your family and friends probably won't buy from you, but that's okay.
Yes.
So to finish up, what's next for Barossa Body?
So next for Barossa Body is I've got a few little additional product lines to come in. But also, I do want to broaden my scale up and broaden across Australia. So at the moment, I am in store in a few places across the Barossa and South Australia, but I really would love to be in some stores in Victoria, New South Wales, Western Australia, the rest. So just looking at some of those key areas, but on a small scale that suits me.
Yes.
Not in all the big warehouses.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting. And I think you're going sort of in a bit of not recon mode at the moment, but you're trying to build up your base to be a strong base, so then you can grow again, which I think is really important. Like you've had it, like you said, multiple startups in the business.
Yes.
And every now and again you'll sprint, but then you're in kind of a bit of a rebuilding before you can go to that next step, which I think is key to sustainable growth.
And that's, I think it was actually you that advised me on that, is you don't necessarily have to keep climbing that hill and keep going and going and going.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's okay to have a bit of growth and then stay at that level for a while, reassess, is this working, and then grow again when you're ready, and definitely find that that's sustainable. It's manageable. It makes me happy, and which is
a great reason to do it, because if you're not happy and you're doing it, why are you doing it?
Correct, exactly. And like anybody, I have days where I'm like, is this working? Is this right? Should I keep going? And then you get this beautiful customer review, and you're like, absolutely, this reminds me why I'm doing this, and why some days you slog it through, and other days you fly. So. And
I've always reflected and said, look, I've had hard days, but I haven't had bad days.
No.
Do you know, and that's the key, I think, in small business as well, is that you work bloody hard and you don't always see the results, but are they bad days? No. I would still do it again.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't have any regrets in what I'm doing.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story as well, and also being part of the regional collective in helping us to share, success stories from founders like yourself. So we can't wait to see what Barossa Body does next.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks.